Hey everybody, it's Michelle Hollering Brooks here, and I am really excited to bring in this new vlog and conversation that's actually going to be a little bit of a series. When I first started thinking about and got the inspiration to put this down, I started writing first, and then it was turning into a small ebook, and I thought maybe this needs to be a vlog series. And so the concept and that I would like to explore in this series is the concept of consent. What is it? And I want to tie consent into sentience and how these two things work together. So to catch you up a little bit on what prompted this series and why I'm bringing it to you, and what I'm hoping to dive into an exploration of a beautiful container of maybe kind of stretching our concepts and bringing in new ideas, was that I saw a post by a pretty well-known equine behavioralist, specialist, and a trainer in the field, specifically in the field of equine therapies. And the statement was that horses cannot give consent. That consent is a construct that is only designed for human beings and animals, and that we've got to stop taking human constructs and putting them onto other beings, and that horses don't have the ability to give true consent. So after I took a deep breath and backed off of that, I was like opened up to my space of curiosity. So it's where I always go when I kind of get those triggers and I want to like dive in there with a little rant and, you know, right back and forth. And I got curious. I was like, okay, help me expand. Like, one, help me understand a little bit, you know, energetically, maybe what her thread is, and then help me understand maybe what the threads of other people are as I read through the comments, and really dropping into this understanding. And what I was able to really drop into was this awareness of what is consent in general, and then how does that even look like as we drive into other, quote, sentient beings. And if we believe that a being is sentient, that they have their own thoughts, feelings, wills, and desires, and their own time, then they've got to have their version of what consent would be, whether that's in a human version or not. And so I really wanted to like back up and walk ourselves into this instead of a knee-jerk reaction of a yes-no stance or anything else like that. Again, I always bring this to my container of curiosity, of openness, of really allowing, because there's never one perspective, you know? And so off the bat, I believe that there is a little bit bigger perspective that we can offer to this, and the way that I work with consent is very different. And so I'd like to maybe start it from the construct that we all have, which is this human beingness, right? This human model. Before we start to look at the idea of sentience and other beings outside of human animals, then the easiest door for us to walk through and then expand is through the human consciousness. So what is consent? I don't know. It could mean something very different to everybody else. And so what I would like you to do is explore it. In each one of these video series, what I'm going to invite you to do is really do some time in contemplation and reflection, to do some time in that meditation and prayer state for you that really opens you up to this same level of curiosity, to get out of the knee-jerk, this has been my experience, this is where I've been injured, this is da 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 da, and to let all of that kind of go to the background, just like a little white noise in the background, and open up and call forward that curiosity, that beginner's mindset, that observer self, and then call in whatever you help to give you a bigger point of view. For me, I happen to call that the divine, the God source that is within all of us, you know, whatever works for you. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I would like you to do is that once we're in this beautiful heart container, I want to explore releasing our attachment to the word and the meaning of the word. And I want you to instead start to allow this word to take on a frequency, a vibration, a sense within your body. And when I say consent, I have given my consent. I have taken my choice, my free will, And I have agreed to step forward with all of me into this connection, into a response with whatever is being asked of me. What does that feel like in your body? Does your heart maybe feel a little bit open? Do you actually feel like a step that you want to walk into it? What does that frequency feel like? And now I want to explore maybe some other frequencies. So now let's look at compliance. I'm complying with a request that's coming from me. Something outside of me has asked something of me, and I'm willing to comply with it. What's changing in your body? Does it feel the same draw to it? Does it maybe feel like it's getting pulled? Does your heart feel as open to sending and receiving input from whatever it is asking for compliance? And now I would like you to loosely, gently hold this next word, meaning don't get too bogged down in it. The word submit. I'm going to submit to the will of another, a request. Feel into that word. What does your body do? My whole body started to go backwards. I actually hit the wall behind me, right? Like it was like, nope, I don't want to do this. I don't want to move forward. I like the frequency. My heart feels closed. My throat feels congested. Every part of me that was open now feels like it's collapsing. I don't want to leave you in here too long. All right, shake that off. All right, so now let's explore a little bit along this idea of internally, we are constantly making choices of how we want to show up in these different frequencies, right? Externally, choices are always coming into us, requests, opening doors, whatever you want to call them, are always coming into our field. And we have the ability to choose how we're stepping through each one of those doors, what we choose to say yes to, what we choose to say no to, what we choose to say, maybe, I don't know, can I get some more information about that? What we choose to release maybe a choice of ours in agreement to give to another. And is that agreement to give, even if we don't feel a value in it or it's not directly related to us, is it through compliance? Is it through consent and gift? Is it through submission? Is it through surrender? Like, what is it through? And that's going to show how we physiologically show up in our physical form, in our emotional body, in our mental body, in our spiritual body. And that frequency of which we drop into connection and partnership with another, or even with our own construct of consent within ourselves, is going to inform our body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body, if it's in the flow or if it's jamming up its circuits. Okay, so what I'd like to do is let's get some boots on the ground now. So for the compliance track, I love to use this little fun example of coming into really looking at this idea of laundry. I comply with doing laundry. I even comply with folding that laundry and putting that in my little drawers. I refuse to have a chest of drawers because I really don't like it. So I've got these wire baskets and it just makes me feel a little bit better. But some people thrive on it, man. They love to take that out, fold it. They love looking at their beautiful closet. It's color coded. It's heaven to them. Me, I'm in and out. And if I didn't have the value for my electric bill and for conserving resources and not having a bigger blueprint or impact on my footprint in an energetic form, then chances are I'd leave everything in the dryer and just hit fluff every single time, pull it out and be like, okay, great. But because I have those other value systems, it keeps me down there. And the other one is that I care about how the other people that I interact with feel when they meet me. And I know that they've got a construct that says if I've got a wrinkly, like disgusting shirt on, that, oh, then I'm not clean, blah, 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 blah. And it's hard to drop into a felt sense of safety with me. So because I value them feeling safe in my field and feeling like they can take a breath and relax, then I try to make my physical appearance with my clothes not look wrinkled and all the other stuff. But do I care about it? No. So am I really dropping into like, full on connection and a full yes with that task within my own self? I'm complying. I am doing exactly what I need to do. I even look at it and go, okay, Michelle, let's get this done as fast as we can. Let's put some music on and whatever. But it's not consent. It's not me with every part of my body saying, yes, this feels good. I want to do this. I value this. I love this. And I feel alive in it. It is not that. It's not all the way over to submitting either, right? Because there are pieces in there that I'm willing to like step into that I do value, that I do want to show up into. My energetic choices with my environment and my energy resources and how I choose that, how I care about the other that I'm interacting with in that. So you can see how it's not all the way into just I'm submitting, I have to do these chores and I feel no version as to why this is beneficial to me. And in fact, it feels harmful and I feel drained and completely not okay. So I give you a really silly, mundane thing, but that's the kind of vibe that I want you to come at this concept of exploring consent. So now I want you to even kind of take you into a feeling of you've come home, there's the person that you like absolutely love, that might be a partner, that might be a child, that might be, one of your companion animals, totally sitting there, and you feel this like, come here, tell me about your day. And the hand reaches out, or the puppy's like, hello. And it's like, just, and your whole body being open to that goes and kind of dissolves into that connection moment. And this willingness to give and receive and exchange and enter this beautiful dance of connection comes forward, right? That's consent. That is the frequency of openness, of curiosity, of a felt sense of safety, meaning that the person who's on the other side of that, the being that's on the other side, has kind of agreed to try to do no harm with you in a relationship. And if harm happens, they've kind of energetically agreed to do some repair work in that they've agreed to accept that if you said, oh, I need to go put my backpack up and do this and do that, and then I'll be right back, that they're not going to get all squirrely and, that you feel that you have that ability to say, can I have a second? I need a pause before I say yes to that request, and meet it with love and compassion and willingness on my side. Like you feel like you have the ability to come forward with what is your truth, knowing that you too are also agreeing to step into that partnership with try to do no harm. And that if in there, but intentionally, if in there something gets a little wonky, like you say, okay, I'll be right back, and you come back and you realize that they're not okay, that there's some repair work and there's some forgiveness and some flow in that connection point with somebody. And that nobody is asking the other to hold weight for them or to anything else. Like there's a vibe that's in there. That's compliance. I mean, not compliance, that's consent. Okay. Now compliance would look like, you come home, you put the thing up, you know that you need to go to the bathroom, you have a need or something like that, and you look at that person and they say, come tell me about your day, come tell me about your day. And you kind of do a scan of your needs, and you've got some real needs in there, or some wants or something else to do, and then you would love nothing more than to share that with them. But you look at them and you can feel that they're not going to be able to receive that well, and that something is going to, like, it's going to put into a chain of events of where they're going to like maybe put pressure on or withdraw or take that request away or do something. And so you, to make a choice, you start going tick, 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 in your field, and you decide, I can't really, I'm just going to sit down, do this with them real quick, even though I love it and I want to be with them. And in the back of your head, there's these pieces that are kind of going, but I need something right now. Okay? Compliance. I'm complying with it because I don't want this to go away, but I also don't know how to fully step into it. And then it can even start to get into a fear mode. Well, if I don't give them what they want, this is only going to get bigger and this, that, and the other. And so I'm willing to make this choice to answer what their needs are, even though my needs might be totally over here. Less and less of you is showing up into that equation, all the way down to a submission and a folding of yourself, of your body being that might say, I'm going to sit here and hold that I have to go to the bathroom, and it's going to really not be okay with me. And I'm going to make myself appear that I'm okay. And so to do that, my whole energetic field is folding in, while the other person on the other side might be completely in their own zone, doing their own thing. There's no safety in those connection moments. All the way down to where maybe your body is repelling it. Maybe you know there's no safety in that connection to that person that's been asked for you to come and hang out with them, right? And so you just start putting in pathways of survival and completely folding, freezing you, your essence, who you are. And no part of you is open, able to connect with that. And everything that person is getting from you is, quote, a physical form that's doing what they're asking them to do. But you, your emotional, mental, and spiritual body is not present. Sorry, body, you're on your own. Peace out. We're pulling back. And we're going to go off into left field where we need to go. And then it can keep trucking down that thing where then you do kick out of freeze or fold and you go into fight or flight. And then what happens after that? And then the choices that are made. So there's this huge spectrum that can happen. So what I want you to do with this exercise is kind of take a moment and allow yourself to really dive in to where in your life do you feel this openness, this desire to step in. It doesn't mean gumdrops and roses. What if I've had a really bad day and I came home and I'm just mad and I'm upset, and there is that person that I feel safety in, I feel connection in, they're offering to me support, and like I don't want to talk about it, and parts of me are like reeling and all over the place. But I know that that's going to be a helpful support. And I know I can say, look, I'm just really mad. I'm really angry. And I need to just like spew. Can you just hold that space for me while I spew and not take any of this personal? Then I get to see what they're going to do, right? This is the dance of connection and the dance of really stepping into consent, because I'm giving them the right to decide, do they want to deal with what just walked through the door? You know, they're in their unhappy world. They have no idea what just walked through the door. They get to think about it and go, how about I give you a few minutes and we'll circle back around. Or no, sweetie, come on. Let's dive in. What's going on in there? Yeah, not taking any of this personal. Tell me what's here for you. You know? So it doesn't all have to be gumdrops and roses and this beautiful open heart. Everybody can be in their own little vibe of what there is. But true consent means that conversation and that acceptance and curiosity and not taking it personal and getting attached to what the other person is bringing, and instead showing up in this beautiful container that says, yeah, and if it gets too much, I can say, I have the right to say, I need a moment. You know, but what neither one of us have the right to do is assert my will over yours in a consensual relationship. What we always have the right to do is to show up with what is ours. And it's actually my responsibility to show up that way. So like, let's fast forward to the person who just complies, sits down next to that. You can't blame that person sitting on the couch all the way and say, well, you should have seen something different and held them responsible for that. I see that you are looking uncomfortable. Do you need to go potty? Do you want to put your stuff down first? You know, that's putting all the ownership on your comfort onto the other. That's not safety either, right? So it's a two-way street of being responsible for self, knowing that there is a self, having access to what is the self giving me emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and what do I need? And so there is a lot of stuff that has to happen in a quote of consent, right? And so before we even crack the door into other types of sentient beings, I'd love for you to explore this being first, human being. So in a journal, almost like make one page of like how I feel the frequency of consent. How do I know? What am I feeling? What's my emotional state? What's my body feel that it's open to? What do I sense, see, feel, know, hear within my field when I feel like I have that ability and that true choice, and I have self-responsibility and efficacy going on, and the willingness for the other and their part in it? What does all of that feel like for you? I've given you some words, but again, this is where words are going to fail us, because when we open the door into the next one, you've got to have something else on board than the human mind of a construct that has labeled a bunch of stuff in order to give us a way to interact with it. That's all words are. Words hold frequencies that we can say somebody else agrees to that frequency, meaning this, so that we can quickly get in a conversation and have it out of our own heads and with others. It's a way to slow down, label, and categorize. That's it. But to move beyond words, we've got to know those frequencies and how they feel in our body. We've got to start to expand our vocabulary past mere words. And so that's what I'm asking you to do with this exercise. And it will help you with all beings, within yourself and with others. So, consent, bring in the word compliance. You know, like I showed you my silly little one with laundry. You know, what are places where you're complying with things, and why are you complying with them? You know, and what's going on and what's driving you? Do you like the way that you've complied, or do you realize I am locking myself into something that I don't like? You know, start to look at what is it. And if you feel safe and if you feel grounded enough, I even invite you to look at the words submit, surrender. Okay, because submit and surrender are two different words. Surrender almost opens you up over here to consent when it's a choice. Submit and surrender get really confused. So if that's too big for you, just ignore that one and just stay with submit, right? Survival, submit. Okay? And do a little listen there. If that word is too big for you and you need help and support, reach out to, professional of choice. If you're one of my clients, definitely this is something that we can bring into one of our sessions and help clean up and clear so that you can see where all these pieces are within you, because they're going to directly inform the relationship and connections of how you ask another being to step into connection with you. And if you want to get through that middle door, that beautiful middle door that we talk about all the time out here at Unbridled Change and any of my programs I'm at, one of willingness that opens the door to true connection and purpose, right? It is based off of having consistent trust and respect within yourself and with that person or being that you're building a connection with. Okay? Willingness is the middle door. The other two doors of every choice that we make is either fear and intimidation, power and control in a negative way, not having, or bribery, right? And manipulation. That these are the two side doors, and we're always looking for, if we want to build connection, strengthen connection, and unlock that beautiful heart light energy, there's only one door that gets us there, and that's this middle door of true willingness. But we also have all this other stuff that gets in our way that keeps us from like these funky little hybrid versions of fear, intimidation, manipulation, bribery, all this stuff that keeps us from being able to fully access that middle door. All right, so that's the homework for this one. We're going to catch back up in series number 2, and we're going to start to dive a little bit deeper. Let me know how this goes. Again, this is a big topic that I'm launching you into, and it's ultimately going to come down to how you allow yourself to have access to yourself, big self with a capital S. How do I allow my needs, wants, desires, thoughts, feelings, my beautiful vibe to start to express itself and come forward within myself And then how does it ripple out into those that I'm in connection with? From personal, more vulnerable, intimate relationships with, like families and friends, to coworkers, to, peers, to blah, 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 bigger community. It goes the whole gamut. So start wherever you want in there, and we will see you next time where we're going to open the door to then what does this mean with others? Okay, so much. Michelle Holly Brooks with Unbridled Change.